Your campaign is out with what I'm assuming will be the last ad of the campaign tomorrow. Does that revisit some of the points that we've seen in previous ads?
Not quite ready yet, but yes, it revisits some of the same points in terms of property taxes, cost shifting, and that whole issue. That's a big issue. We have a couple of county commissioners here today, a number of elected officials here today that have long maintained that under Commissioner Stevens, as Fran said, the full bills required to be paid for seniors in nursing homes, quite frankly, were not paid. And somebody had to pay to keep the doors of our nursing homes open. That meant property taxpayers. And that's a significant issue in this race. Who's the conservative and who's not? And I would argue that with my record of having fought for tax relief, spending restraint, a line item veto, versus Commissioner Stevens' record of having increased property taxes, voters should know that they have somebody that they can trust in me to go to Washington to fight for a growing economy, to fight for tax relief and spending restraint.
What kind of turnout do you expect next Tuesday?
You know what, Dave? I mean, ask all these people, but I suspect that turnout's going to be a little heavier than it normally would be in a primary.
Expect any parts of the district to be more friendly to you than others?
Well, I know I've got one vote in Wolfboro.
We'll give you Londonderry and Auburn.
Other questions?
Your supporters made a case for this investigation. Why then did you remove that from your ad?
That ad was scheduled to run only for a week in any case. The ad that we have up now is an ad that touches on those same issues, obviously, but it also talks about my record. And I think I wanted to remind voters that exactly what I stood for: strong support for our nation's military and national security and veterans. Somebody that fought for taxpayers, somebody who was endorsed by the United States Chamber of Commerce because I worked for small businesses, which are the backbone of our economy. And so I wanted people to know that that's what I stood for, what I fought for, and most importantly, why I'm running again in this race to bring exactly those values back to our nation's capital.
Jeb, can I? Concerned that this primary has gotten so divisive that it would be difficult for a challenger who's a Republican nominee to be Democrat?
I don't think so. And I will tell you today, and I'll tell every one of my supporters here today, if I'm not fortunate enough and successful on Tuesday, I'll be the first person on Tuesday night to urge every Republican, Independent, and Democrat in the state of New Hampshire to support John Stephen. But I believe that we've mounted a good campaign, and it's no question been a tough campaign, and it'll be the winner's obligation to unify the party and do so right away. If I'm not the winner, I'll do everything that within my power to unify the party.
Anything else?
Can I,
Go ahead, Lauren.
Representative
throw something.
Wendell, question. The letter that we have today from 2006, what prompted you to write that in the first place?
The reason I wrote it in the first place was because of concerns that what John Stephen was doing was wrong, that it was illegal, that it did not meet the legislative intent, and certainly the intent that the budget setters had outlined. As you may know, I've served for the last 10 years on the Finance Committee, all 10 of those on the healthcare budget. And, you know, I know the budget, I know what the legislative intent was, and so I had serious concerns, as did a number of other legislators, and that's what prompted me to write the letter in August of '06, asking the LBA's office to audit the procedures. You know, we had gotten during the budget process, I think it was 6 or 7 different sets of numbers for the same thing. Representative DeJoy from Concord, Democrat from Concord, who also serves on finance on the healthcare division with me, did a spreadsheet, and it just clearly demonstrated how ridiculous it was that we were getting 7 different answers from the same department, what should have been the same numbers. And it just clearly and starkly showed just how they didn't know what was going on and how they manipulated the numbers, depending on what they were trying to push for the flavor of the day.
If I can add something here, which I forgot to touch on, there's been an awful lot of commissioners that came forward in support of this investigation, in support of the cost shifting that's going on. My question is, and you need to find out, because who's telling the truth here? Are the commissioners telling the truth, or is John Stevens? This is the question that needs to be asked to John Stevens. Who's telling the truth? I doubt very seriously all the commissioners throughout the state here that have been hit in their counties, that hit the taxpayers, are lying, basically. I mean, how else can I put it? So this is the question that needs to be asked. And I would contact Colonial, Poplar, and Home and ask them why they're having problems with the state under John Stevens on getting paid, okay, with the Medicare money, on how almost $50,000 never showed up. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I think, just in conclusion, I want to thank everybody for attending here, and thank you again, Jeb. Again, in speaking on behalf of my fellow competitors here from 2002, we had a clear choice between two candidates that we were competitive with and friendly with in 2002. And we made the choice to support Jeb Bradley to send him back to Washington. I think that there's a clear, underlying, powerful message there. I want to thank you all for coming. Again, please support Jeb Bradley on September 9th.